everybody. I hope you're doing very well. Happy almost spring. It's March. I think March 1st should be the new year because actually one of James Vanderbeek's last videos on this planar Earth was to express that same sentiment, because what do? We celebrate the new year in the deadest time of the year cycle. Okay, before I forget, I ran into a little bit of an emergency today. Had to deplete 100% of my emergency reserves. I got locked out of my car and kind of got scalped for a locksmith fee. And so if anybody feels like donating to the cause, I'm going to put my Cash App and what's that? Give, Send, Go. I'm going to put that in the pinned comment. I appreciate everybody. I know money's tight for everybody. So really what's important to me is just the sharing of ideas. You know, it's nice to have money, but it's honestly nicer to have community. You can have community without money, that's for sure. But you can't really get money without community, can you? So what I want to discuss today is something I harp on a lot, which is dichotomies. False dichotomies. A perfect example of this is Jim Carrey's latest appearance at the César Awards, okay? Alleged Jim Carrey. That wasn't Jimmy. That was not Jim Carrey. That was some dude wearing a mask. Now, the guy that you know is Jim Carrey has even gone on record numerous times and said that he's just playing a part. So the dichotomy here is that a lot of people are saying, oh, he was cloned, look at his eye color. First of all, if he was cloned, wouldn't the eye color be the same? That makes sense to me, at least, because the idea of cloning is genetic equivalency. But what do I know? And the other group is saying, no, he just got a bunch of plastic surgeries like every other narcissistic Hollywood actor. But that doesn't make sense either, because what we know of Jim is his rubber face. Now it looks plastic. And if all of your money was made off of a rubber plate, I hate cops, man. I fucking hate them. If all of your money was made off of a rubber face, then would you really do something to paralyze it? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. That makes zero sense. Why would you paralyze your moneymaker? And so what people don't take into account are all of the specifics of the situation. So you got somebody who's known for being able to make really just absurd, cartoonish faces, and he shows up looking totally different, and people just write it off as, he got Botox. That doesn't make any sense. Okay? He's 60-something years old. Why didn't he get Botox when he was 55? Well, you know, he's been looking old for a while, and he stepped away from Hollywood, allegedly. I mean, it just doesn't stand logically, right? It just doesn't. And so and what's really wild is everybody's pushed into one of those two ideas. But what if the third option is true? And it's usually the case that the third option, the unspoken option, is the factual one. The other two might have shreds of truth, but they're not in line with reality. They're in line with perspective. And I believe the third option is that the person we know as Jim Carrey is just a character himself, as he has said, and he didn't want to go to that event, and so he hired somebody to put on a mask that looked like him. But really, what it is a cleverly disguised distraction. That's all it really is, right? Because now we're in World War III. And it just so happened that those two things happened at the same time. I just, everybody wants to believe one side or the other. What if all sides are just trying to keep you from the truth? Because he who is comfortable in truth and knows that it is true is powerful, right? If you stand in truth, go watch some people with no driver's license know the law better than the cops they deal with. I mean, that is a power that can't be touched by fakery. I've had experiences myself where I know that I'm standing in truth, and I've been, for all intents and purposes, the weaker side, but you can't poke holes in the wall of truth. You can't do it. You can dress a lie up to resemble the truth, and you can make enough people believe it that colloquially, whatever, it is the truth, but it never will be the truth. So what am I getting at? What I'm getting at is that even people who claim to seek the truth are now saddened by the fact that CNN is being bought, as though CNN isn't just another propaganda arm, just the one to contrast. See, what they do is they trap you in contrast. If they present what is an obvious lie and then present you with something that looks like the opposite, your brain automatically says, well, if this one thing is a lie, then the opposite must be true. But that's not the case. We don't live in a binary world. We live in a world of infinite options. And what those even if it was truth, propaganda doesn't need to be an outright lie. It's how the truth is told to you. So it could be true that illegal immigration is causing financial losses for natural-born Americans. That could be true. I haven't experienced it, but I don't know. I'm not everybody. So let's assume for a second that's true. That does not mean that the solution is to have ICE freely roaming the streets. And that's the dichotomy that people are put into. Well, if illegals are bad and illegal immigration is making me poor, then the answer is ICE. Well, no, that's somebody else's solution that you've just believed. You've believed it because they said. And that's all it is. People believe words and they believe fluff. That's how politicians can get elected numerous times, even though they lie and get caught in their lies. because people believe words more than really anything. That's how Donald Trump, the father of the vaccine, got elected even after his followers, his cult members, decided that the vaccine was bad. And even after he bragged about being the one to start it. Because people want to have faith in him. And that bridges to another topic. You never, ever really interact with another person. You interact with yourself, because you can't know another person, right? You can't actually. You can observe and you can know what they put out, but that's not them. That's what they put out. And you're really only interacting with your own understanding of who they are. So there's nothing external that you can understand that is not already internal. If it's not internal, you can't. I don't know how I'm going to explain this because it's hard to explain. But what I'm trying to get at is we're always reacting to ourselves. What am I to do with that? I don't know. Realize, I guess, that myself must be impervious to deception. And how does one become impervious to deception, knowing that propaganda and brainwashing and mind control come from all angles? Well, the reasonable answer is to just assume that everything that you're hearing on a screen is in one way propaganda or in one way mind control. I mean, even what I'm saying things to try to affect the way you think. I'm governing your mentis, if you will. But you don't have to believe me. And here's another point, is why is mockery such a powerful weapon against truth? Anytime that truth begins to come out, an army of mockers seems to appear out of the blue. So COVID, flat earth, all of that is just derided mercilessly until eventually, as has happened with COVID, the truth begins to come out and the mockers get quieter. And then eventually those mockers say, oh, why didn't anybody tell us? And eventually those people saying, why didn't anybody tell us, just accept what we've known the whole time as a foregone conclusion. And they never acknowledge the fact that they actively worked against that truth. Because they're not seeking truth. They're seeking adherence to a perspective. And that's the point of being like water, isn't it? That's why you have to be like water, is because water, it flows. And you have to be able to flow in order to resist being channeled. If you're ice, you're already crystallized, but water always wins. If you are a river and somebody tries to channel you in a certain way, eventually, maybe not in somebody's lifetime, eventually erosion will take its toll, won't it? Same with ice. I'm just rambling right now. It's been a really rough day, man. I didn't have the money to spend to get my door popped. And here's that mockery. I told my family, I said, man, this is the last time I'm doing this. I'm getting myself whatever tools whatever tools the guy had to use to get my car open, because it took 5 minutes. He charged me $100 per minute, which is ridiculous. But he was the only one that could get out quick enough to get my kids to school. So, literal highway robbery. And I'm at quite a low point with that, because I don't know what to do. Life is a trip, man. Life is a trip. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I was gonna get off here, but started writing a new song that is in a really strange time signature. It's in 32/8, which should break down to 8, but for some reason when I tried to play it in 8, it just didn't work. So I had to play it in 32, which is rough. But what I'm trying to do is describe the movement of the celestial bodies in music. I guess kind of like I forget the guy's name who did it, but the guy who wrote the planets, Mars, the one that Star Wars copied. I guess he kind of did that, but what I want to do is have the movements represented directly, the rhythm of the sky over time. I want that to be represented in the instrumental. And so we'll see. I'm going to start it with the 32/8 riff that I wrote, because it kind of sounds like the night sky. I will post that when it's done, if it's ever done, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Like I said, if you're able, $5 helps, man. I hear all the time that it's not right to shamelessly e-bag. Well, literally, who on YouTube saying that doesn't have a sponsor? All of those people have sponsors. I'm just cutting out the middleman and not making somebody buy a product they don't really need to help somebody in need, right? So don't buy products. Help me. I'm half kidding. Seriously though, if you need something, don't send me money. Buy what you need. Buy your products that you need. Buy whatever it is you need. But if you don't need anything, here I am. Have a wonderful day.